we had a little bit of snow last week, but then we had some freezing rain in the night.
Oh,
And yeah, there was a fire truck and an ambulance outside of my house today. And I looked out, and the people, the workers on the street were sliding down the street. They couldn't even walk on the street. So it's pretty
mm,
bizarre.
yeah,
Cold.
yeah, cold. So never stop the journey until you discover the real self and you think, speak, and act out of the real self. We have started the journey. It must reach to a destination. But if it doesn't reach to a destination, then this delusion will take over at any time. Mind is very tricky. It can take over any time. Why are you meditating? You don't need that meditation. I asked my master. He said, no. One thing that you continue, you don't know when the mind will put you in a delusion. And second thing, that you set an example. Because my master used to say that my job is teaching, so let me set an example. But that setting an example, behind that setting an example is what we are talking about, the fourth category. So in the first category, just remember and pick up whenever you are suffering from any anxiety, any duality, any conflict, any upset. Pick up these 7 factors. Huh? Pick up these 7 factors. First factor that we have been talking about, unexamined life. The life is on autopilot, or simply, this master says, foolishness. Second is, because of the foolishness, my mind is scattered. So when the mind is scattered, foolishness, and then it will pick up any event, anything in the world, anything in the world. Why it will pick up anything in the world? Just to have a sense of attachment. So a sense of clinging. And then we start getting worried about it. I was just talking to Terry. She was, obviously, you already know that she says that someday she is not able to speak. Now, mind relates this to a problem. Someday also I am not able to speak because of the sore throat. What is the difference? There is no difference at all. Consciousness remains independent. That is where we are following the path. So first 3 factors, foolishness, scattered mind, and attachment. Then it results into emotional dependence, ego, and intellectual paralysis. Be very clear. Here, ego means selfishness. So here the selfishness means I have to examine if the mind has a strong likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment. We are talking of that ego. Normally we talk of ego is opposite is arrogance, or no. We are not talking of that. That is the outcome. That is the product. Here we are just talking. Do I have a strong sense of attachment to anything, or detachment? Strong likes and dislikes. Because it is caused by the ego, and that results into intellectual paralysis. Did I tell you that I was telling about this young guy who gave 200% to the girl? I told you that I'm telling you the real life story. Did I tell you last time that last week, just 1 week before that, he said, I went to a restaurant and there I met my ex-girlfriend. I said, you saw your ex-girlfriend or you met your girlfriend? Ex-girlfriend. No, I saw. So did you see through the eyes or did you see through the mind? Now find out. Three factors: emotional dependence, ego. Ego, here comes the deep attachment, and intellect. Now my intellect is paralyzed. So he did not say, he said, now I got disturbed when I returned home. I said, did your ex-girlfriend made you disturbed? This is the way we have to examine our life. And the moment you have these thoughts, uh, with supported by the knowledge, your mind can become free instantly, instantly. And the sixth and the seventh, then we have the in after intellectual paralysis, it is the same thing. The seventh factor is the mind is constantly changing its thought process, and those thought process has some element of the binding desire. These are the seven factors. Now we have to take a remedial step. So either you remember that I have to work on the mind should not be working on me. Look at all these seven factors. Mind is working on me. I'm not able to speak. Yes, I know it. Why? So I have to keep this thought aside. I'm okay, even if I'm not able to say anything, speak anything. So I'm just reversing this remedial step. I have to work on the mind. And if I do not recognize the false assumption, I cannot work on the mind. I have to recognize it. So that was basically the first step. And then remember the satsang, I use the word satsang, where you listen and learn, you contemplate and reflect, followed by the practice. I gave you an example of this real life example. I have all the real life examples. Every week I meet people and they tell me their problem. And they serve as an example. Do you still remember I have a killer headache? So I have a killer solution. I should instantly recognize it. But when I don't recognize, then I'm blaming others. Then I'm not able to make my mind free. My mind is not. I'm not working on the mind. So, but now we have to go deeper. So you see that first, if you take it, work on the mind, it means I recognize the false assumption. Then I follow the Eastern wisdom, which means listening and learning. Oh, I'm feeling bored, agitated. Let me listen. Listen it again. Where is the masses? No, let me contemplate and reflect. Let me simply do the practice. You pick up anything. And then what we extract from that. So these are the two steps from the delusion to discernment and dispassion. Mind settles into discernment and dispassion simply means that I have started working on the mind. And then what happens? You start moving from the false self to the real self. I'm just trying to make your mind settle into these simple ways. This is not the way this text explains. But I thought, it is better to create some format so that then what happens? The third category is our, first category is our seven factors, second is remedial steps, third category is the realization. So what happens in that realization is my experience. So you have taken a remedial step. Say, for example, you had, the same example of this young guy. Did you see your girlfriend through your eyes? Did your eyes created likes and dislikes? What I'm doing, I'm helping him to recognize the power of discernment and dispassion instead of the negative power of attachment. I'm not doing anything. I've not reached to him. I have not caught his hand. That is the power of wisdom. That is the power of Eastern wisdom. And then he started laughing. You rightly said, I did not meet her, I saw her, but my mind met her with an attachment. So within few minutes, he has been with me for a couple of years, and so he started laughing. That is the power of the knowledge of the East and West. So then what happens? This is what the realization is. So when he started laughing, I could recognize that is our first realization, that now the mind lives in wisdom. Emotional dependence dropped. How long it takes you to drop the emotional dependence? Nothing, except you have the wisdom, you just know it, and it drops. That is the power. You simply know it. Your mind withdraws from that anger, that anxiety, that duality. We all have those factors. There's no doubt. But my ego doesn't allow me to recognize. And that is why I kept in the first 7 factors. Ego causes a lot of challenges. So then the second realization is how the 7 factors of the body make us crazy. So, but if I become aware of these 7 factors related to the body, I am the body, it is false self. From the false self, the secondary self comes. What is the secondary self? You insulted me, you appreciated me, huh? You don't understand. This is all, these all thoughts are related to this false self. No, it is not related to the real self. So if you recall or remember the 7 factors related, that is the second step of realization. The third step of realization, outer change is not required. No, I don't say anything to my honey and still he or she is angry. Why don't you say anything? Who told you not to say anything? See, this is an outer change. Huh? Because I'm burning inside and I don't want to say anything. You see that? To our son and to our kids, to our friends, we stop communication. So we stop communicating with others, we stop communicating with our intellectuals, intellectual paralysis. For that, the realization here is outer change is not required. Pay more attention to inner change. What is happening in my mind at this moment? I must pay attention to it. That is the third realization. And the fourth realization, I have already discussed in detail. That is the recognize the hypocrisy. It will not work. It will not work in bringing peace. And last week we picked up rituals. All the rituals have a place in our life. I say namaste and you also say, this is a ritual. But if it is not supported by my inner state of the mind, it is not going to work. Normally we say, in American, we are very, I went to Spain before the COVID and, I had the same, hey, how are you? And they started staring at me. They said, this looks crazy. They don't have that pattern. But here you say, hey, how are you? Anyone and everyone. But now question comes whether I say it with that feeling or I just say it for the sake of saying. That is the fifth realization. Should I have that feeling with that feeling? Let me wish well-being for everyone. And then let me ask. So the ritual, I should not take it as a ritual. The ritual should have that sense of a feeling. So these are the 5 steps of realization. And then we started working on 4R, mind, recognize. The last fourth category means that you are frustrated on a given day. You are into anxiety, duality, and a conflict. Intellectually, you remember the first three categories, and still you are still frustrated. That is why I created the fourth category, which 4R means the remind, recognize, revise, repeat. So if your mood is upset, you are frustrated. So why I said, no, I have to revise. I have not revised it. I have to repeat it. I have not repeated it. Let me recognize where I have one of the seven factors or more than one of the seven factors is causing me upset. So what is going to happen? You live throughout the day in that peace and happiness. Now, the second 4R, Master says that I have to, as a seeker, I have to continue the journey until the awakening takes place. Until the awakening takes place. That is our 19th, yes, 19th verse. Yogaratova bhogaratova sangaratova sangavihinam yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandatyeva bhaj govindam bhaj govindam is fora. So when I say first govindam, I remind, recognize, revise and repeat. So now look at the very subtler aspect of today's uh, realization, today's 4R. So I simplified it. How I simplified it, I said, I have to make it sure that I have real self is revealed in me. I could see that peace and happiness. I live into that state 24 by 7. Internally, there is an internal state. The status quo is maintained. Sometimes I may have a sore throat, so I cannot say anything. It's okay. I have a fever in the body, not fever in the consciousness. So you are able to separate it at all the time. You may have an extreme pain in the body, but at the same time, you know this is the body and this is me. Where? Internally. So this message comes from this verse. So what now you see how this, if I translate this verse in a pure, just its literal translation, so you will be able to extract the meaning. So yoga ratova, bhoga ratova, it's a revelation. It's a great verse. You are doing a practice of meditation, or you are indulged in sex, you are indulged in sense enjoyment, you are sitting in a restaurant, or you are in your house practicing the meditation or any form of the yoga. What the master is saying, he alone is happy. That seeker alone is happy, whose mind is aware of the real self in these activities. Whether you are engaged in any form of a pleasure, or you are engaged in any form of a meditation or any form of the yoga, it does not matter. It's a very subtle principle. I'll give you a couple of examples of that. So sometime what happens, I do practice meditation every day in the morning, and after the practice, I'm ready to blast. I'm ready to move with my ego in the seven factors. There is no transformation. You are indulged in a restaurant to enjoy the food, and still you are aware of the real self. That will work. That will work. Are you getting it? So one master, and especially, yeah, I remember Ramakrishna Paramahansa, the great master, teaches. I gave you a subtler aspect of it. There was a priest, priest of any religion. I don't want to name any religion. But The story happens in India, so obviously you can find out. So this priest, what is the job of one priest? And he has to take care of the temple or the religious place, and he has to offer the prayer to to a particular god. Yeah, that is, and then he has to seek confession from others, but he has not to confess. So, so there was a religious place, and just opposite that, opposite means opposite the street, there was a brother, a prostitute. So sometime they used to come out, the priest used to come out, look at the women, and the women used to look at the priest. Even while paying, worshipping, and meditating on the God, the priest used to think about this women. And the women, even engaged in prostitution, used to think about how great the priest is, how lucky he is. He has got an opportunity to meditate. He lives in a sacred place. And the priest used to think the opposite way. She is enjoying his life, and did you understand that? He, seeker alone, is happy, who is recognizing that I am the real self in all the situations, in all the conditions. And the story continues. They both died at the same time. Priest was sent to hell, and the woman was sent to heaven. So when the priest was just about to be sent to the hell, he asked a question. I have been serving in this religious place to you for so many years, and you are sending me to the hell because of your mind, because of your attitude. Attitude means the knowledge. Attitude here means the awareness. And why the women were sent to the heaven? Because even engaged in the prostitution, she was always thinking of the real self, that my nature is true. Real self, I'm of the nature of the real self. It has to do with the body. I'm just making my both hands meet. If I remember, there's a great master, Ramakrishna, used to tell this story. This is what the verse says. So sometimes we question why Dalai Lama is doing like this. Sometimes we question why Dalai Lama is doing that, why Pope is like. Don't challenge them. Challenge your false assumption. We have nothing to do with it. That is the message. Did you understand that message of the women prostitute? She was sent to heaven because of the attitude and the state and the mind. She recognized it as my body. I'm just maintaining my livelihood, but I'm of the nature of real self. Because why? The women, while looking at the priest, was constantly contemplating and reflecting about the priest, how lucky he is. And the other way, the priest was thinking how lucky she is. So I'm thinking of being lucky due to the attachment, due to the emotional dependence, due to the craving, due to the sense enjoyment. So he was sent to hell, and the women were sent to hell. These are symbolic way, metaphorically. So it means it is the way, what is my attitude? If my attitude is guided by the seven factors, first seven factors, do whatever you want to do. It will definitely bring suffering to your life. Definitely. There is no way. You did not apply the remedial steps. This is the understanding of this verse. Yoga ratova, bhoga ratova, sangha ratova, sangha vihina. Whether I'm living in one situation which I like, which is adverse, or which is pleasurable, it is all about the attitude and the mind, how my mind is working, whether I'm working on the mind or mind is working on me. That makes a difference. So I have to remember this. Pora, remind, recognize, revise, and repeat. I don't have a Bentley car. What it has to do with others? But then my mind keeps on thinking about the neighbors. If I had the Bentley car, my neighbor will look at it. My neighbor will never look at it. Everyone is concerned about themselves. To tell you frankly, everyone is busy in their life. Did you really notice my beard is not arranged, not trimmed? Look at this. Very subtle point. When we understand this subtle point, okay, now I have this. No, I did not shave. Okay, let me go without shaving. But yes, in a formal setting, obviously you have to take care of those aspects. But it does not mean that you overwhelm yourself. You have not done it. Better to keep your head clean. Remind, recognize, revise, and repeat. So now come to the same verse again. Whether you are absorbed, sometimes I do practice yoga for every day. What you do? I do 50 postures. I'm in an advanced phase. And then you get upset over small things. It has no value at all. What kind of a yoga are you doing? Master is challenging us. This master is challenging our false notion and ignorance. Did I tell you that in New Jersey, I used to go to a studio to give some practice of mindfulness? So, beautiful girl. She is a beautiful girl. Now she would be in her 40s. She had 3 surgery of her spine because she has to demonstrate those posture to attract her clients. You're not doing yoga. Not at all. That kind of yoga is not advisable by any master. So whether absorbed in yoga, indulging in pleasure, enjoying the company, or living alone. No, I'm living alone. Many people say me that, younger generation, I think that I should not get married. There are a lot of problems. Don't you have the problem when you're single now? That is why you have approached me. You see, this is a false notion. So Master is pointing out, don't build your peace and happiness, love, truth, and wisdom on outer conditions. How many people who are single are really happy, and how many people who are living in relationship? That's a very subtle point. So I have not to get my mind carried away by the false assumption, any outer condition can bring the peace and happiness. Whether I recognize I live into that state internally. I have to live into that state internally. We're going to take up the Gita. So Gita recognizes it. It is a state of equanimity. It is the state of inner peace. It is a sense of contentment is there. You go to the restaurant, but your going to the restaurant is supported by inner contentment, not craving. You are free. Eat whatever you want to eat. No, in our group also, we see people say, I'm pure vegan. Then what will happen? Did you become pure? No, eat. I'm not against it. Master is not against it. Master is pointing out that my inner, I am aware I'm doing all my actions with reference to the real self. My thought, my speech, my action. This will only happen when you cover all the three aspects. You get rid of the delusion, you have taken the remedial steps, you have those realizations, and then the fourth one, you constantly remember the 4R. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed, being comfortable. Eyes are closed. Even that, this verse is very important. You have closed your eyes. Check that. Is the mind also ready to close your eyes, or mind is still distracted, wandering? He has picked a very subtle point. Sometimes we are talking to people and the people realize that we are not paying attention. Hey, are you listening to me? Yes, yes, I'm listening, but mind is still wandering somewhere else. Especially for the journey of the self-discovery, that should not happen. And that is what I say, being comfortable and being carefree. You see how I design these practices based on these subtle principles. I'm comfortable and I'm carefree. You don't see any duality, and the mind is not rushing anywhere. It is because of that you find the sense of stillness, comfortable and carefree. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. There's a natural movement of the mind. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Your mind will, you have heard these verses many a times. Your mind will start singing naturally. May there be happiness for all. You will find, your mind will melt because the mind lives into that wisdom. It will start thinking, reflecting on that way. Let there be happiness for all. What the verse is saying, I'm just translating the Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. The mind moves with that level of kindness and a compassion. That is what the mind lives in wisdom. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. May there be peace for all. It is not at the time of the grief or anxiety. Yes, we should be doing it. But now the mind is flowing in that sense of the peace all the time. That is what we want. That is why we are attending this session. We are bringing the journey to a conclusion. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Puranam Bhavatu. May there be a sense of completeness in all. What is the sense of completeness? It is what the contentment is. That my peace and happiness do not depend on any outer condition, but it depends on the real self of the nature of peace and happiness. So that is contentment. We try to practice contentment and we become hypocrite. Sarvesham, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam. May there be an auspiciousness. So I can still translate the same according to the verse. Auspiciousness in Mangalacharan. So what it means? That auspiciousness is expressed in behavior and in my action coming from inside. What is inside? A recognition that I am of the nature of peace and happiness. I was just talking about the Terry. What if I cannot speak? I'm happy. You see, so we are entering into almost the knowledge 50% and practice 50%. And in that state, you are looking inside the forehead in the space and you are dropping Om Shanti there and start breathing quick and gentle breath into the ribs. So see stillness in the body helps you to remain aware. It is a reminder. You're breathing, quick and gentle breathing. At the same time, you're dropping Om Shanti gently inside the forehead. That goes a long way. Continue. Continue breathing into the rib cage through the nostrils. Om Shanti continues. Om Shanti continues. And stillness in the body continues. And stop it. Pay attention to the flow of the breath in the state of stillness in the body, and you will realize you have a variety of experiences here also. Maybe a vision and the colors, and mind is normally absorbed deeper inside a state of the calmness. This is the beginning of it, what I said, the realization. At least for a few moments, the mind continues to live in wisdom. We recognize it. So that is the what the fourth step is. Aware of the flow of the breath and make it sure that if the flow of the breath is equal, even if you have thoughts at the surface level, the mind deep inside is very calm. Now, look inside the forehead and continue with the Om Shanti and start the belly breathing. Little, deeper breath, longer breath. Little longer breath into the belly. We have less number of people today, so let us go a little deeper. You are breathing into the belly. You are aware of the expansion and contraction of the belly during inhalation and exhalation, and the body remain in the state of the steadiness. Om Shanti continues. So everything is in orderliness. There is an orderliness of this state, this practice, this step. Little longer breath. Pay attention that you are breathing into the belly, not into the rib cage at this moment. And And do nothing, pay attention to the flow of the breath in the state of stillness in the body, and the mind is living within. It is because the mind has started living within, it brings a new level of awareness plus other variety of experiences. It's okay. We just accept it, we recognize it, but we continue to pay attention on the flow of the breath. Now, again, Om Shanti inside the forehead. And this time we have a third breathing. I don't want you to forget the third breathing. You have to inhale both into the belly first and then into the rib cage. It's a long, deep, and the hissing breath. At least we should try it. So our body, our movement of the belly and the rib cage is regulated by the mind with the breath. That is very important. Why I kept this? This is also known as the yogic breathing, or we can say the full breathing, where the one inhalation expands the belly first and then the rib cage, one exhalation contracts the belly and the rib cage. Just a simple understanding. Now, if you claim that you are doing a long breathing, but you don't follow it, that is what the verse is. So, in every activity, long, deep in the hissing means that when you are taking a long and deep breath, obviously there is some sound. So, you need not to worry that it should not be silent in the beginning until we reach to a stage of perfection. So continue, my friends. Pay attention. Your belly and the rib cage expand sequentially, contract sequentially with inhalation and exhalation. Your mind will say, "No, I feel tend to be exhausted. I don't want to do it." Endure it. Already gave you a endure it and recognize and accept the changes that is taking place. We want a change. You will find out we have done this third type of breathing after a long time. The mind tends to resist. And there it is awareness and power of your wisdom uses the endurance and you continue doing it. Now leave this. Again, pay attention to the flow of the breath. And if the flow of the breath is equal, you are just enjoying. There is a sense of contentment. There is calmness. That is one purely a physical way to check it, to recognize it. So when you are doing the practice on your own, you can increase this duration of awareness of the flow of the breath. And then now leave this 16 segments on the fingers, Shanti. But I'm reminding you again, that is, I always do that. So now you have technically understood the 4R, the reminding the mind's eye, mind's ear, mind's speech, mind's tongue is dropping the Shanti without physically touching it. So it gives us a new perspective of perception can take place even without these sense organs. What it means? Literally, we say the mind has started living within. So the mind can continue to live within whether your eyes are open or closed. It's a matter of your awareness plus the wisdom. And now move the mind in the cave of your heart, triangle, moving the mind in a triangle with Om Shanti on each side of a triangle, casually with awareness moving in a clockwise and anti-clockwise. You can enjoy that state of the freedom here. So you start getting the glimpse of it before we are reached to the higher state. And when you discover, when you discover there is a perfect sync at that moment, you simply say Om and pushing the mind gently deep inside the cave of your heart, Shanti. Now the mind is almost in a state of doing nothing. That is one way to explain and understand the self absorption. As long as the doer is there, so doer is there, the ego is there. Ego is there, so it has the past impression of attachment and etc. is there. That's why I'm using the word self absorption. Even you may have a thought on the surface of the mind, but they are too far. You find them too far. So that is a sense of the freedom. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand, your mind on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences, and bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences now. And if you have any questions, so how are you, David and Jerry? Stephen is, I think, is busy in somewhere. Yes, how are you, David and Jerry?
Very good, thank you. My takeaway from the lesson today was a happy mind is a mind within, looking within. And so my practice was about that. And by the time we got to the heart center, I can't remember anything else. It was just so deep and lots of indigo everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful. It's a great practice. Totally self-absorbed. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, the practice was really nice and quiet, calm, relaxed. And the key for me was the awareness. If the awareness is always there, then there's no suffering, no confusion, there's complete clarity. If the awareness isn't there, there's definitely going to be suffering.
Yes, there's definitely going to be suffering. You look at the verse, I gave an example of this story. So, what happens normally, we build a strong ego on our practice. No, I've been doing the practice for so many days. Then what happened? Why are you talking like this? So, we build those. So the master is pointing out that no, you have to check inside, even if you are doing the practice. What is inside you will define where you are. Such a, I find that verse very, very deep and subtle. How are you, Brandy?
Good, thanks. You asked when I came on the call if my life was changing, and I realized during the meditation that it doesn't matter if my life is changing if I stay kind of like what Dre said, if I stay tuned in to the real self, which doesn't change. And it's pretty simple, but it's not. It's one of those things, pretty simple, but not that simple. Because I was thinking about it. I was like, has it really changed? It's hard to be objective, looking outside, but I know that the inside has remained the same through all of it.
So did it change or not? So we
I
are
don't
not
know.
the judge. You have to be the judge.
I mean, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, but that's not where my attention is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, that is good. If you continue the journey and remain aware of the slippery ice that is outside, but that there is no slippery ice in the mind, then we are living our life better. You also told about very slippery outside. Yes, that is what the master is talking about in this verse. If you don't find that it is so deep, then you listen to it again and again and see that how come it is so deep. I'm not able to understand. We normally take it for granted. I've been doing the practice for how many years? 10 years. What happened? Nothing happened. Why did not happen? So answer lies here. That attitude, that state of the mind is there. Beautiful. How are you, Christina?
Thank you. I just think about the simplicity of what the knowledge and wisdom helps us to know, and that we keep forgetting to bring our real self and connect there wherever we go. But it's only simple because we continue to learn and listen and integrate that.
Yes, it is very simple. At the same time, it is extremely difficult if the first 7 factors are dominating the mind. And then it becomes less difficult because if I apply the 5 steps of remedy. Now it is only a matter of realization. If I apply the 4 step, I check my 4 step of realization. So that is what Brandy and you all, I have told you that these are the 4 steps of realization. If mind lives in wisdom, yes, okay. Mind is living in peace at this moment, yes. There is a continuity, yes. What breaks the continuity is the 7 factors. I make it I oversimplified it. It is not the way the verses are written. Verses are written one after the other. I group them into different categories. So, how are you, Terry?
Jury's comment answered my question.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no need to say anything. Sometimes, even I speak less when I have some sore throat, I'm not able to say. It does not mean because my mind, you see that what Jerry is saying and what you were saying, I'm saying the same thing. I'm focused on this verse only. There is an awareness of real self, and there is an awareness of the world, situation, condition, people, relationships outside. So what Jerry is referring, it is an awareness of the real self.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that is what you say. It is not the awareness of others. I'm totally self-oriented. Now, when I say awareness of the real self, it is the awareness of awareness only. It is not an awareness of objective. It is purely a subjective awareness. So why subjective awareness? Because that subjective awareness brings a change in your attitude. So what happens when it is not there? If that state is not there, then the mind claims, I am the real self. So mind experiences the stress and it says, I'm in stress. Come on, mind has a stress, We're going deeper. So how are you, Vaibhav?
Thank you, sir. Sir, practice was good. What I'm understanding is like it's a self-check at every moment that what if I am free from every situation, then my mind is seeing that I am limited. So I can see every time that this limitation is coming because of the ego or the interpretation of the outside world.
Perfectly said. I like it. Perhaps you all got this. It is the mind, because the mind has to exist and heavily depends on the body identification. That is what we understood, that I am the body with the 7 factors. And then the mind gets totally entangled with the body. It identifies with the body. Why didn't you respect me? Unless you see me, you cannot respect me. So what you see is the body. You don't see the real self. Do I have that level of awareness? So question of respect and disrespect doesn't come. Or you can directly make a fun to the mind. Okay, mind, you want respect to the body, but body is not aware of the respect and disrespect. I believe you got it. You all got it. It's so simple. But at the same time, it is not so simple. It is very simple. It is not so simple. Someone says you are crazy and your mind is now getting upset inside. But at the same time, I recognize that to whom he addressed crazy, he could not see my mind, he could not see my real self. And the real self cannot get crazy. So he's only looking at the body. Oh, thank you very much. I'm more crazy than you think. And that makes the life simple. But yes, that point of awareness is the problem. We lose that awareness. What you said, I'm aware and I'm not aware. So by consistent learning and listening, explaining, contemplating on these principles, the mind is settled into the wisdom. That is all for today. Thank you very much. We will meet again.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.